Okay, good morning class. My name is Mr. Chan. This is going to be my first bio tutorial on YouTube, so hopefully it goes well. I've already made a couple of takes, like heaps of them actually, and I'm kind of sick of it, so yeah, whatever this one is, this one's going to be on YouTube. So, today we're looking at succession. We're going to be revising what we've learned already, and we're going to prepare for the internal. So firstly, what is succession? Succession is an ecological pattern that shows the change of a community in an area over time. We were talking about community. Community is, so yeah, underline your keywords. So we're looking at community and time. I'm just going to explain them to you. Community is all of the living organisms, okay? All of the living organisms within the area, okay? In this particular area we are looking at the plants and the plant species, okay, as well. The other keyword that I want you to look at is over time. Okay, well actually two keywords, over time. We are not going to be like observing the forest now and observing it another 100 years later, because that's going to take way too much time. What we are going to be doing is we are going to be looking at two parts of the forest. So two parts of the forest, and there are different ages. So the first part of the forest is a Kunuka. It's a mature Kunuka forest. The second part of the forest is our broadleaf and podocarp. Okay, I'm just going to use the abbreviations PC for podocarp and BL for broadleaf during my YouTube video today. Our Kunuka is, I'm not very sure how old our Kunuka or how old the broadleaf and podocarp forests are, but that's something you can find out on your trip to Arataki. You can ask Mr. King, or you can ask any of his helpers how old that they think this area is. So succession happens in stages. We start off in stage 1. Stage 1 is bare ground. Okay, bare ground. This could be as a result of a volcanic eruption, so lava covering the area. Could be with the result of island coming up from underneath the ocean. Both of these are primary succession, so there is no soil in those two examples. Secondary succession would be after a fire, after a tsunami, after a flood, after a big storm, after farmland or logging has occurred. All of those would be an example of secondary succession, and it'll be stage 1 because there's no vegetation or no living vegetation there anymore. Okay, so stage 2. Stage 2 is our first glimpse of vegetation. We have grasses, lichen, mosses, and herbaceous plants, or what I just like to call as herbs. So that's stage 2. After stage 2 we have stage 3. Stage 3 is our Kunuka. Okay, shrubs and ferns. Stage 4. Stage 4 is going to be our broadleafs. Okay, so it's going to be our broadleaf forest. We could include some podocarps in here, okay, because if it is transitioning, we're going to have a bit of podocarps. And stage 5 is going to be our podocarp forest. So you could actually Our broadleaf podocarp could be in the you could classify it as being in the transition stage between stage 4 and 5, but we were told that it was a stage 4, so up to you. Stage 5 is hardwood broadleaves. Okay, is a hardwood broadleaf forest. So over time, we're moving from stage 1 all the way to stage 6 through the growing and replacement of the main species. So we'll go through that. Just keep on thinking about Gauss's principle. So Gauss's principle, we should have learned that before. That's the theory that no two species with the same niche can exist in the same place for a very long time. The one with a slight adaptive advantage will outcompete the other one. So yeah, just think about it. Okay, Waitakere Ranges. We're looking at our New Zealand temperate forests. Yeah, and if you have any questions about this, feel free to comment about it or talk to me about it or ask the rangers at the on the field trip about it as well. So, Arataki Waitakere Ranges is a New Zealand temperate forest. It's a stage 3 to 5 forest, because there are areas in this forest which are stage 3, areas which are stage 4, areas which are stage 5. Throughout Arataki Forest, we have a relatively poor nitrogen soils. So that means that doesn't compare to other forests which are that old. The amount of nitrogen within the soils is less, and nitrogen is one of those what I want to say nutrients which are essential for the growth of many plants. So history, Arataki used to be logged. So it used to be logged by the Europeans and the Maoris, and it also used to be farmland. There will be a plot that will show you, and it used to be a potato field. And that's one of the reasons why some of the area is stage 3, some of the area is stage 5. The area that is stage 3 was used as farmland and logging recently. The areas which are stage 5 was most likely never touched by any of the settlers. Okay, so stage 3. So firstly, before we get to stage 3, we're going to have a look what stage 2 was like. Stage 2, we mentioned before, only had grasses, mosses, lichen and herbs. That means we got no canopy, and that leads to no shade. Okay, because there's no canopy, no shade, that means I've got a high temperature, I have high sunlight, and I have low humidity. Humidity is the moisture in the air. Because there is no canopy, that means the moisture in the air would be able to escape. Okay, so in stage 2, because there's no canopy, the moisture within the air will be able to escape, and thus we have a low humidity. So we've got a low percentage of moisture in the air. Another thing that stage 2 was like, so stage 2 had very low soil quality. Okay, very low soil quality. This is because the only vegetation that was around was the grasses and the mosses and the lichen and the herbs. If they died, and so yeah, when the grass and stuff in stage 2 die, they add to the humus. Okay, because the biomass of these vegetation is very low, we're going to get less humus. If I have less humus, the soil quality will not increase at a very high rate. Okay, so the soil quality is still very, very, very low in stage 2. What are the important plants in stage 3? The important plants in stage 3, of course, is the Canuka. Okay, Canuka, we'll go over that very shortly. The other plants which are important are shrubs, especially the nitrogen fixing. Nitrogen fixing shrubs. These shrubs have bacteria within its roots, and these bacteria, they take the nitrogen in the air and they convert it into nitrogen in the soil, which plants can use. And as I said before, these plants need nitrogen to grow. Well, a lot of plants do, and a lot of plants, especially the ones we're going to look at stage which grow at stage 6 in the succession, need a lot of nitrogen in the soil. So let's look at Canuka. Canuka seeds are small dry seeds. Okay? Small dry seeds. So what can I say about these seeds? These seeds will germinate. Germinate is turning from a seed into a seedling under high temp, okay, high sunlight. Okay, that's what they need to germinate. They need a high temperature and they need high sunlight to germinate. Yep. So if we look back at here, stage 2, okay, stage 2, high temperature, high sunlight, that is in stage 2. What they also need is they need some soil. They need a decent amount of soil quality. So that's why they can't germinate in the stage 2, because stage 2 has a very low soil quality. This Canuka, they need some soil quality. They need better soil quality than the stage 2, but they don't need as good soil quality as the broadleafs and podocarps, which are growing in stage 4 and stage 5. Seedlings of Canuka, very interesting. So these seedlings, when they are about 20 centimeters tall, they can start growing flowers. When we're growing flowers, that means they can reproduce. So if one Canuka establishes within a stage 3 forest, that means that it just needs to grow to about 20 centimeters, then it can start producing flowers, producing seeds, and those seeds can spread, and very, very, very quickly the whole area, the whole forest will be covered in these Canuka seedlings. So, and after these Canuka seedlings grow, they grow tall and they create a canopy. So once they reach a mature height of once they achieve a mature height of around 20 meters, that means that they form our canopy. And because of this canopy, they create shade. You all should be able to do this. Shade increases the amount of humidity, decreases the temperature, and decreases the amount of sunlight on the forest floor. Okay, well that kind of already answers a bit of this. So how does Canuka change the environment? So Canuka changes the soil. It changes the soil because Canuka drops leaves and branches. Okay, Canuka drops its leaves and branches. This will add to the humus, and that will in turn increase soil quality. Sorry about all this writing, it's actually quite hard to write. Well, anyway, moving on to shade. How does the Kanuka change environment? We got the shade I mentioned before. Shade produced by the canopy of the Kanuka that will decrease temp. It will decrease sunlight on forest floor. Okay, on the forest floor. That's the same temperature on the forest floor, because obviously above the canopy the temperature will be exactly the same and the sunlight will be exactly the same. It will also increase the humidity on the forest floor. Okay, nursery environment. So this produces a nursery environment. When I talk about nursery environment, you think of just nursery. We're going from a little kid, and we're getting them to grow up a little bit. So in terms of plants, nursery environment, we're going from a seed to a seedling. So the Kanuka produces a nursery environment because it's got the shade. The shade decreases temperature, decreases the sunlight, increases the humidity, which makes it suitable for wet seed. Okay, so wet seed germination. So wet seed germination, podocarps, broadleafs, instead of having dry seeds like Kanuka do, they have wet seeds. Since this environment is more suitable for as a nursery environment, which is more suitable for the wet seed germination, more wet seeds are going to, more of these podocarps and broadleafs are going to germinate. Two more abiotic factors which contribute to this nursery environment because of the shade is wind will decrease because of the shade. Okay, so because the trees around it will shade will shelter it from the wind. And another thing that will decrease is the rainfall impact. So rainfall impact, that is going to decrease as well. Seedlings and seeds can be damaged and washed away if the rainfall is too hard, because there is a canopy which is going to shield these new seeds from rainfall. So yeah, those are a couple of other things which add to that nursery environment. Okay, stage 4. Stage 4 has more nutrients and more nitrogen. So we'll now move to our broadleaf and podocarps. So broadleaf and podocarps. Soil has more nutrients and nitrogen. The ground level is now shaded, thus promoting the growth of seeds that require damp conditions. This includes the broadleaf and podocarp trees. Next stages. How does a stage 4 change into a stage 5? The main promoter of stage 4 to stage 5 will be the increase in soil quality. Okay. The older the forest gets, the better the soil will become, because of the plants just depositing more and more and more of this humus. Okay, that will keep on adding to the soil quality, will keep on increasing our nutrients, and that is what will promote the stage 5 to a stage 6 as well. So increased soil quality. The reason why Arataki, even though it's so old, has not reached a stage 6 climax community is because of the amount of nitrogen within the soil. The soil in Arataki, as I said, is very nitrogen poor, and those hardwood trees like Puriri, they need nitrogen rich to actually thrive. Kari, on the other hand, thrive in the nitrogen poor environments, so we see a lot of Kari within Arataki forest. So let's move on to our internal, okay? Because that was all background knowledge. You should already know about that, and you can talk all about that in our conclusion. But anyway, internal purpose in the form of a hypothesis. I predict there will be a greater abundance of plant and a greater number of species in Stage 4 broadleaf and podocarp forests than in the Stage 3 mature Kanuka forest. We have to also add in Arataki, okay, because we are talking about Arataki, we're not talking about any other forest. So let's look at our keywords. Keywords is abundance of plants, okay, and our other keyword is number of species. Those are the two things that we are going to collect data on tomorrow. And so yeah, that's the two things we're going to collect data on, and those are the two things that we are going to man, I'm lost. Those are two things that we're going to collect data on, and those are two things that we're going to analyze and comment about in our report. Okay. So why is plant abundance greater in Stage 4 than in Stage 3? The main reason is we're talking about the soil. Stage 4 has a better soil quality than the Stage 3 environments. Because of this increased soil nutrients, this means that the forest can sustain a greater number of plants within that area. This also leads to plants not needing to compete as intensely with one another for that nutrient, for those nutrients. Also, better soil results in more plants of different species. We'll go over that very shortly. Different species occupy different niches, and because of these different niches, they can coexist with one another. So different species, okay, different species occupying different niches. Remember those caterpillars, okay, the window caterpillars and notch caterpillars, because they occupy different niches, they could coexist. Okay, this is like Gauss's principle. Because better soil results in more different species, we've got more of these different niches, and because we have more of these different niches occupied, we can have potentially a greater number of plants in total. Yes, hopefully you can understand that. The second point, why is species diversity higher in a Stage 4 than in a Stage 3? Okay, so let's think about what plants can grow in a Stage 3. We've got our Kanuka, we've got our Manuka, we've got our grasses and mosses and a couple of shrubs, okay? There's a greater number of plants that can grow in a Stage 4 than in Stage 3, okay? Because of this increased soil. So this nursery environment provides an environment that promotes the germination and growth of a variety of Stage 4 plants. You are going to find these Stage 4 plants, and you're going to record and talk about them in your report. Another point you can talk about is the more different trees that grow, the more complex the environment becomes, and the more microhabitats arise from these different species to establish. Arise for different species to establish. For example, are these epiphytes. Okay, remember these epiphytes like perching lilies, the northern rata. Okay, they need big trees to establish themselves in a higher place to get more light. So yeah, that's one example in how a Stage 4 has more species than a Stage 3. Okay, so yeah, that's the end. Sorry about all the mistakes, but yes, this has taken me a very long time. good luck on Tuesday. What you should bring refill, you should bring a pencil or something to write with. Mr. King and other helpers will be present, and you should take notes of anything you can add to your report. So they'll obviously be talking, and do not be afraid to ask questions because they're there to help you. Make sure you bring your lunch and a bottle of water, wear the right shoes, and most importantly, have fun. Cool. See you guys.